This was my typical day in prison during COVID. Because before the outbreak, I was in the honor pod, I was working, I was volunteering, I was going out to rec. I was busy from early in the morning until late at night every night. Then there was the initial period where we were just locked in ourselves. We would get a shower 2 or 3 times a week and then right back to the cell. Then we started moving towards a new normal, where we were all let out of our cells, we could be in the pod together, we could use a shower, use the phone. I was being called out to work because maintenance was considered essential, and was even being called over to make videos on Spanish and nonviolent communication that were being shown statewide. During all this, when I was finally saying, okay, things are bad, but I'm finding a way to adjust, like this is going to be okay, they shipped 64 of us from that prison to another prison that was open dormitories. And for the first few weeks, we were locked in the dormitory. We didn't go outside, we didn't go anywhere else, we were just in there together. Then they started giving us an hour on the small rec yard, which was the size of a basketball court. So 82 people packed into that tiny space, but at least we were outside of the building. Then they started letting us on the big rec yard for an hour at a time. And this was a big space where you could walk all the way around. And the biggest change for me was I got a job at medical. So that meant I would get up early in the morning, I would make my cup of coffee, do my reading and meditation before anybody else was awake and before it got loud. I would go get on the phone first thing in the morning because that was the easiest time to make a call because you didn't have to worry about all the competition because most people slept past 6 a.m. Then they would bring breakfast, usually about 6:30 or 6:45, and if I was still on the phone, there was a guy who would always make sure I got milk. Once I got off the phone, I might clean my bunk area or do a few things, and then I would head off to work at medical. I'd have to clean all the areas, maybe unload a truck and organize all the supplies, but most of it was just hanging out and waiting to see what needed to be done. I could wait and eat lunch there, or I could go back to the dorm to eat lunch. And usually I would be at medical for a couple hours in the morning, I would come back for lunch and go back for a couple hours in the afternoon, and then come back so I could go outside for rec on the big yard. I would come back and wait in one of the long, crazy lines for the shower, and that was about when they did dinner, so I would grab my tray and usually go stick it on my bunk and go back to the shower line. After dinner, I would go back to my bunk and wait for mail calls, see if I had to write any letters or anything I needed to respond to or any paperwork I needed to file. Then I would usually play cards until about 8 or 9 o'clock. Then watch TV and go to sleep.